I'll go ahead and take a minute to give thanks to the South Dakota Humanities Council. They are the program that makes this possible to have these ladies perform for us today, which we are so thankful for. We do have some refreshments for you in the back, so please help yourself. Also take a look at the merchandise that the ladies brought with them that go to support them, so take a look at that. We also have a free will donation that helps with travel expenses. So thank you for those of you that have contributed to that. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and Introducing Dakota Daughters. Each performer researched and wrote her part of this historical interpretation of events, beginning with Manifest Destiny and ending with the 1890 Wounded Knee Massacre. Through the lives of these fictitious characters, they talk about real documents, such as the 1868 Fort Laramie Treaty, and sing songs, recite poetry, and read newspapers from the time portrayed. Some of the language in this presentation may be offensive. However, it was used during the time presented. The performers will introduce themselves at the end of the play and will also engage in discussion and answer any questions. The trio, consisting of Geraldine Gozencenter, Lillian Witt, and Joyce Jefferson, give an interpretation of the events leading up to the massacre at Wounded Knee Creek in 1890. Gozencenter portrays Sitting Bull's daughter. Witt portrays Sadie Babcock, a rancher's wife, and Jefferson portrays Maddie Elmira Richardson, engaged to a Buffalo soldier.
Come back over here. Come over here, Chungshi, my daughter. This is the place that I was telling you about. You know, my mother brought me to the same exact place when I was your age. Did you bring the wasna that you and Unchi, your grandmother, made? Let me look at it. Oh, hey. That wasna is lila washte, really good. You know, Unchi told me what a hard work you are, and it makes me proud. And that's why Unchi wanted to name you Nape Washte Wia, good hands woman, because she knew you were going to be a hard worker like her mother was. My name? Well, my mother told me that when she was giving birth to me, the camp was on the move. And so she decided to go down by the creek to give birth to me. And she said she was in so much pain that she closed her eyes. And when she opened them up, all these kimimila, these butterflies were all around. And it took her pain away, and then she gave birth to me. So to honor the butterfly nation, she named me Kimimila. Yeah, I like that name too. So what we're gonna do today is we're gonna take the wasna and offer it to Mother Earth to thank her for giving us food to last us for the summer. And I'm gonna show you how to dig tinsila. And this food will last us until we dig again in 1 year. Isn't this a beautiful place? This is our home, and will be our home forever.
Oh, give me a home where the buffalo run, and where the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging, and the skies are not cloudy all day. Well, I just can't get that poem out of my head. Oh, so this is Dakota territory, and that's the Morrow River we just crossed, and oh, Stephen, what a beautiful place. It's so wild and free, and there's not another person inside. Oh. Oh, and just smell that fresh air. Oh, the railroad companies are right. This truly is the sole remaining paradise in the Western world. And now that the government's finally opened it up to somebody besides those Indians, it's all ours just for the taking. Oh, children. Oh, Stephen Curtis Jr., don't you dare pull your sister's hair. Now, I want you to look over there. Do you see her in that grove of trees? It's a mama deer watching over her baby. And remember, we've seen a whole herd of antelope yesterday. And we've seen eagles flying overhead. We've even seen buffalo. You know, I read that when the buffalo cross a really deep river, that the baby buffalo actually ride on their mama's backs. Oh, children, I'm sure that Dr. Brewster Higley had this place in mind when he penned those words. Home on the range, where the deer and the antelope play, and where seldom is heard a discouraging word. And the skies are not cloudy all day. Oh man, I wonder if that means it never rains here. Oh, ma'am, does it ever rain here? Oh man, we could be in trouble. Well, come along, children, stop. What's that? Oh, no, it's a snake, it's a rattlesnake. Oh, watch out.
Free at last, thank God Almighty, we're free at last, free at last, thank God Almighty, we're free at last. One morning so bright and fair, thank God Almighty, we're free at last. I'm gonna spread my wings and try the air. Thank God Almighty, we're free at last. We come from a land from across the sea. We come to a land that's supposed to be free. We worked and toiled for the master's will. We worked for free while the master filled his till. But now we're free to go to school. Yes, we're free to earn a wage. Yes, Lord, we're free to get our 40 acres and a mule. We come from a land of pestilence. We come from a land of no can do. We're on our way to health and wealth. We're on our way to you can too. Thank God Almighty, we're free at last. Woo!
Chungshi, my daughter. Oh, there you are. I was looking for you. Where were you? Oh, you're with Unchi, picking choke cherries? Oh, that's good. Did she tell you of her story about the first time she's seen a Washichu, a white man? She had decided she was going to go pick choke cherries, and she was asking everybody to come along, but nobody wanted to go. And so she decided to go by herself, and she was singing that one song. I'm going to pick some choke cherries, I'm going to pick some choke cherries, and eat them all by myself. And she was out there picking choke cherries, and she said all of a sudden this head came through the bushes. And she said there was no hair on top and hair on the bottom. She said, oh my God, upside down face. Anyway, I thought that was kind of funny. But I'm glad I found you, Chungshi. Your father and I were talking, and he doesn't want to go to the land that the Washichus, the white people, want us to go. Do you remember last week when Ate, your father, and Unchi Sinibu went to look at it? Well, he doesn't like what he sees. He sees all of our young people drinking firewater and hitting each other, and he sees them being disrespected by the white people. And he doesn't want that for us, his loved ones. And he was thinking that he's going to go up to grandmother country. You know, ever since the Washichu have been coming, they've been killing the buffalo for no good reason, and now hunting is scarce. Lala said there's hunting still up in grandmother's land. And ever since the Battle of Greasy Grass, when Yellowhair was killed, they want to blame Lala Sinibu. So for those reasons, Chungshi, your father and Ate and I decided we're gonna go up to grandmother's land with Lala. So Chungshi, what I want you to do is go and say goodbye to all your family and friends who are gonna go to that land. And say goodbye to this beautiful land before we never see it again. Remember, Chungshi, we must do this to live.
Well, you're awfully quiet tonight, Stephen. What's wrong? Our cattle? But why on earth would the Indians steal our cattle? We've never done anything to them. For food? But why? I thought the government was giving them all they need. Now that does remind me though, there was a writer that had been working on a ranch over by the White River came by, and he said that they're missing cattle too. And he said that renegade bucks killed Isaac Miller and burned his house and barn to the ground. And you remember how we heard last week about Custer and his troops being attacked up there on the Little Bighorn? You know, I heard those stinking savages killed every single one of them. What's gotten into those rotten redskins anyway? Don't they remember what they agreed to when they signed that Fort Laramie Treaty? They're supposed to be farming and making a living like decent people. Yes, I'm sure you're right. That it will take a while for that idea to take hold of me. After all, they've never done anything except move from place to place to place and chase buffalo and, oh, Stephen, we both know that farming is so hard. I mean, after all, just look at my poor hands. Well, say, is there any good news in that Rapid City paper you're reading? 15,000 miners now prospecting in the Black Hills? Oh, land sakes alive. That does make a body wonder if finding gold in those Black Hills was a good thing, doesn't it? And why do you suppose the Indians are so reluctant to give those Black Hills up anyway? I mean, after all, now that the government's giving them everything they need, they really have no need for gold. Sacred? The Black Hills? Huh, yes, well. You know what? I could use a little bit of that gold. I know. I could start a roadhouse right here. We have plenty of help. I need help. I could get Lucy Loneagle to help me. Oh yes, you remember her. She's that young squaw that's been coming to our church. You know, she's been asking a lot of questions about Jesus and the Bible, and yeah, I'll get Lucy to help me. I'll teach her all about the Bible and Jesus, and maybe buy some safety from those stinking savages.
My name is Royal Buffalo Soldier, soldier. Join night cavalry to keep the peace. Soldiering night and day. Soldiering through the night. Soldiering through the day. I'll bet my money on a buffalo. Somebody bet on the plains. The mail's in. I got a letter from my intended. He a buffalo soldier way out on the prairie. Being separated is just so hard. Well, here's his letter. Dear Maddie Elmira, that's me. We was through Cheyenne for a stint at Fort D.A. Russell. I was reading in the Daily Leader and come past this here poem. Remind me about us. But you know I can't prospect for gold and we can't be together until I muster out. Sergeant Smith always say, if the Army wanted you to have a wife, they would have issued you a wife. I may never get married. Well, here's the poem. Oh, the dust, the beautiful dust. I'll squeeze a fortune out of it or bust. I'll brave Red Cloud and his dusky band and pitch my tent in the garden land, where with shovel and pick I'll worry the soil until a fortune rewards my toil. And then I'll waltz home to Mammy and Pappy, why scratch out my name, or scratch out Sarah Jane and write Maddie Elmira. Marry Maddie Elmira, sit down and be happy. Dakota territory is free for everybody to come to. They can file claims or own property. That's the reason they come in droves to Dakota territory. We got a new preacher in who told us we need to be a vessel for God by learning all we can. We sits up nights ciphering and reading so's we can make rank. The more you know, the farther you go. I hears taps and reveille will sound before I know it. Faithfully yours, Cicero.
Joki, so good to see you. Come on into the lodge. I was just thinking about you and my new Takoja, my new grandson. And look, I've been working on these moccasins. Let's see if they'll fit him. And I was also thinking about the naming ceremony we had last week. And I just love the name that Lala gave my Takoja, my grandson. Dismounts 4 times. And I love the story that he said. He said that dismounts 4 times comes from his uncle who was riding horses and came across the Blackfoot warriors. And he jumped on his horse and took off, and the Blackfoot warriors, they jumped on a horse and started chasing after him. So the uncle got off and he was shooting arrows at the Blackfoot warriors, and they got off the horses and were shooting arrows back. The uncle had to do that 4 times before he was able to get away. And when he got back to the camp and told of his adventure, at the next ceremony, he was given the name Dismounts 4 times for being so brave. And now, my grandson has that name. It makes me so proud. I'm glad you came over, Chungshi. Your father and I were talking. And you know, a lot has happened now. We've been up here for 5 winters. You've gotten married. And I have much respect for your husband, for he's a great hunter and a warrior. But you know, even up here in grandmother's land, hunting is getting scarce. And you know that Lala City Bull has been talking to the hi-hats from our homeland, and he thinks that he can talk into that treaty where they put a big fence around the Black Hills, and where the Indians and the buffaloes can come in, and the Washichus, the white people, stay out. That way we can do our ceremonies and stuff. And he thinks that they'll be ready to listen to him. So your father and I were thinking about going back with them. But Lala said that we'd have to go back to the reservation and we won't have a choice of where we're gonna live. The Indian agent will tell us where to live, and we're gonna live like white people. It's because of this law called the Dawes Act. You know how we live in teepee circles now? You live there, Lala lives there, Auntie lives over there. Well, when we get to the reservation, they're gonna move us far apart, and we won't hardly see each other. But he said because of that, we must remain strong as a family. I hope you decide to go Chungshi. I know it's up to you and your husband to make that decision, but I would love to have time with my Takoja. Remember, Midako Yasen, we're all related.
Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your many blessings. Oh, Olivia, honey, dinner's almost ready, and we can see the cooks coming down the road. Do your grandma a favor and go help your Aunt Effie set the table for dinner. Oh, how I wish my parents could be here. I do miss them both so much. But even so, I do have much to be grateful for. Oh, land sakes alive. I have family right here, plenty of good food to eat, and wonderful friends to share it with. Hello, hello, happy Thanksgiving, and do come in. 2 mincemeat pies, oh Sarah cook, you are a peach. Effie made some apple pies, and Carrie made some pumpkin pies, and Lucy made a dish out of choke cherries that she calls rojapi. You know, it goes great with scones. I'm teaching her how to make scones out of the flour her family gets from government issue. Curtis and Amanda, please take this food over to Cicero and the other Buffalo soldiers out there by the gate. Oh, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Now, before Papa Stephen says grace, I'd like for each one of you to tell at least one thing you're thankful for. Ashlyn, honey, you're the youngest, so you can go first. Oh, yes, Ashlyn, we're all thankful that you're not a turkey, too. Oh, children, I'm so proud of you. You're all thankful for your families, for Jesus, and for the fact that the Indians haven't lifted your hair yet. You know, children, Jesus loves you all very much. Oh, yes, Ashlyn, yes, he loves the little Indian children too. Why, yes, Olivia, of course he loves them as much as he loves the little white children. You girls remember that new song that you just learned in primary about, how did it go? Yeah, Jesus loves the children, all the children of the world, the red and yellow, black and white. They're all precious in his sight. You know, girls, the Indian children are the red children. Oh my, what a wonderful day this has been, and so much to be thankful for. And now with the Dawes Act in effect, President Cleveland is going to give up to 160 acres of free land to all Indian families. Oh my, I wonder if they have absolutely any idea how much they have to be thankful for too. Oh my, just look at all those beautiful stars. How often at night, when the heavens are bright, with the lights of the glittering stars, have I stood here amazed and asked as I gazed, if their glory exceeds that of ours. So much to be thankful for. Thank you, Lord. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your blessings, see what God hath done.
Soon I will be done with the troubles of this world. Soon I will be done with the troubles of this world. Soon I will be done with the troubles of this world. He's going to live with God. Goodbye, Uncle Big. You's free now. No more worries, no more strife. You didn't quite make it to Dakota territory, but you made it all the way to Nicodemus. You tasted the sweet tree of freedom. He's going to live with God. Sowing in the morning, sowing seeds of kindness, sowing in the noontime and the dewy eve, waiting for the harvest and the time of reaping. We shall come rejoicing, bringing in the sheaves. Oh, Estelle, I am so glad that you are here. I just put on a batch of pan bread, and I finished my letter to Cicero, and I was hoping to mail it before my pan bread got done. But the postman's gonna be here, so would you take my letter? Well, no, you cannot read my letter. Well, it's personal. Well, if you wanted to practice your reading, you could read the Bible just like I do. Well, since you're my sister, and we are very close, I will read just some of the letter, so that you can mail it for me before the postman goes. Dear Cicero, oh, I am learning to read better and better. I go to church almost every night after work to learn my lessons. Of course, on Wednesday night, we have prayer service. Afterwards, we try to get at least 1 hour of lessons in. Last week, we got a paper from Sully County near Pierre. They called it Little Dixie. Isn't that part of the territory you patrol? The paper said Sully County was booming land and people could get a homestead, as much land as 160 acres apiece. Papa was thinking about bringing the family out and each of us getting our own parcel. After the raid of the Knights of the Ku Klux Klan and Pastor Evans getting the cross burned in his yard, Papa thought it would be wise for us to move further north. We would be set after you muster out and we get married. Some people told us we need to go back home to Africa. Well, we tell them Africa is not our home. But he also said that there's a new land called Liberia in Africa, and the capital is Monrovia, named after President Monroe. And people are going back to their home. Oh, speaking of home, I read in a book that we could have a home by shacking up. I can remain a proper lady. You get your 160 acres, and since I won't be married, I get my 160 acres next to yours. Then we each build a shack with a wall in the middle of the property line. When we prove up and patent our homesteads, we get married and tear down the walls between the two shacks and make it our home. Well, No, I can't read that. No, I won't read that. Oh, Mother and Father are doing well. Uncle Biggin died of yellow fever, and we buried him last Saturday. People are dropping like flies, and we have one funeral after another. Uncle Biggin died a happy man. He didn't suffer long, and he tasted the sweet tree of freedom, but he never made it to Dakota Territory. My sister Rosira is working hard so she can become an instructress. She wants to teach our people. She says people can take away your home, they can take away your money, but they can't take away your knowledge. So study hard and learn all you can. Estelle, that goes for you too, and you better not open my letter before you get it to the post office. And I'm gonna ask Cicero if you put your hands on it, and I'll know.
Hey yo, hey yo, hey yo, hey yo. Way yo, hey yo, hey yo, hey yo. Way yo, hey yo, hey yo, hey yo. Jushi, it's so good to see you. Where's my Takosha, my grandson? Oh, he went to go see Lala Sinibu? Well, that's good. Lala's heart's on the ground. But I got some other stuff to tell you, so come on in. I know you're still using the buffalo horn spoon, and everybody else is using the metal spoon, the Mazda spoon that the Washichus give us. But this is the last thing he made me from the last buffalo hunt, and I really want to treasure it. Oh, I was going to tell you something. You know, our cousin Lucy's working for this Washichu lady. And do you remember the flour that the government gives us? How we mixed it with water, and it just tastes terrible. So finally we just dumped it out and made dresses with the bags. Anyway, she came up, because she's working with this Washichu lady, and she taught us how to make gabu bread and fried bread. And it's really good. We can have some with the wahumpi, the soup that I'm making. Well, let me tell you about some sadness. Do you remember I took you to that place to dig Timsala one year when you were little? Well, we were over there, me and my cousins and aunts, and we were digging Timsala and we were having a good time. And all of a sudden this Washichu man came and he said that this was his land. And if we didn't leave, he would report us and possibly fine us. And so we didn't want it, we didn't have any money, so we left. And I told Lala City Bull about it. And he got so upset. And he found out the hi-hats were coming to the reservation. And he said that he wasn't even invited, but he said he would go to tell them what happened to us. He said he wanted to talk to them anyway. And I thought Lala looked really good. He had his top hat on and his nice vest, and he had that medal that some army guy gave him. And he got there to the meeting, and he stood up, and he told those hi-hats what happened to us. And he said, instead of taking more land, you need to pay us with farming implements. He said to look around the reservation and see how poorly dressed and starving we are since the buffalo was gone. He said, you need to let us live our life in a dignified manner. I thought Lala gave a fine speech, but when it was over with, the hi-hat that was running the meeting, he stood up and he pointed at Lala and goes, shut up and sit down.
Oh, hi, Stephen. Yes, we got a letter from home today. I'm going to write a letter to Mama. Dear Mama, got your most welcome letter. It was so sad to hear of Daddy's lingering illness. I miss you both so much and wish that I could be there with you, especially now. Carrie and Wesley are doing great, and the girls are growing like weeds. The new baby should be here by Easter. Wesley says he is hoping for a little cowboy because he says two girls for one family is enough anyway and not worth their weight in gold. Man, hey! Curtis married his childhood sweetheart, Amanda Cook, last month, and Effie has a new beau. His name is Russell Henry, and he is from Virginia, but he is stationed at Fort Robinson, Nebraska. Oh, Mama, this is such a beautiful land, but we are in a state of discontentment and unrest. The Buffalo Soldiers are everywhere now, and the Sioux, once such a proud people, are reduced to a mere state of sadness and poverty. And my heart just aches for them. The Dawes Act, which was supposed to help them, has turned out to be nothing more than a cunning plan on the government's part to steal more of their land. And this past year has been really hard on them. Summer was extremely dry, which resulted in poor and failed crops. And this winter, the bone-chilling cold and deep snow has killed many of their cattle. Also, their promised winter clothing and other government annuities has not yet arrived, and it is so bitterly cold. Epidemics of measles, whooping cough, and influenza are sweeping across the reservation at an alarming rate. My friend, Lucy Lone Eagle, said that hunger and disease have killed almost 50 Lakota children a month this winter, and she was crying when she said, all our children are dying from the face of the earth, and they might as well all be killed at once. Oh, Mama, people in other parts of the world have absolutely no idea what life is like here. All those stories you read in the newspapers, most of them are not even true. You know, the reporters seem to just make up stuff so that they can sell newspapers. At least that's what I'm convinced of. Mama, do you know that the Indians actually have feelings just like we do? They love their children just like we do. They even cry just like we do. All they want is to be left alone, to be able to live their own lives their way, and to raise their children and be happy. Please give my love to Aunt Fanny and hug Daddy for me. Love, Sadie, and family.
Another letter came today. I am so fearful. It seems like they might get some action out there on the plains. My darling Maddie L. Last week we had to go help 2 miners settle a fight about their claims. One was from Germany and one was from Ireland. We had the hardest time trying to make sense out of what they were saying. They talk so different. We patrol Indian country mostly. We sing songs at night to pass the time. There's this one song we sing that tells about the ghost dance. I know you recognize the tune. We used to dance to it on Saturday nights. It was written by Stephen Foster, and he called it the Colored Brigade. Oh, I remember that one. It goes like, let me see if I can put his words with the music. The Redskins left their agency, the soldiers left their post, all on the strength of an Indian tale about the Messiah's ghost. Got up by savage chieftains to lead their tribes astray. But Uncle Sam wouldn't have it so, for he ain't built that way. Well, I certainly wouldn't want to dance to those words. Food here is scarce because of the drought. We get about 3/4 of our rations, and here tell the Indians get less than that. We went to Pine Ridge Agency last week. It was a sorrowful sight to see. I didn't think you could see hunger, but we could see it in the Indians' faces. I met this woman named Kamimila. She gave me a basket of pan bread she could ill afford to give away. She called it Gabubu bread. Gabubu bread? But it looked and tasted just like your pan bread. I tried to give some of it back to her, but her uncle insisted I keep it. Not only were they so generous, but they were starving. He said Buffalo Soldiers are not so wise as they stay with their captors. I wonder what they mean by that. There was this Paiute Indian named Waboka that say ghosts would come back in the spring and bring back the buffalo and all the other game that the white men's killed off. When the Indians come back with this here message, it was all they want to hear. Now the ghost dance religion is sweeping across the prairie like wildfire among the Sioux. They're just grasping at straws just so they can get their life back like it was. Perhaps soon they'll settle the Indian question. I hear taps. I remain your loving and faithful servant, Cicero. Well, if those Indians just had Jesus, that would be their salvation. Bless my heavenly days. I can't believe it. Is that you? Oh, Cicero. How long will you be here? Oh, Cicero, I didn't think you would ever ask. Mama, Papa, we got to set another plate at the table tonight. Cicero is here, and he said he could only be here for a fortnight. And, Papa, he says, with your permission, excuse me, we can have a nice wedding, and he already has a job for me, working with Miss Sadie Babcock. Yes, he says that Miss Babcock's maids, they all run away with buffalo soldiers, and I will already have my buffalo soldiers, so I won't have to run away with anywhere. Oh, I can't believe it's been a whole 2 weeks, and I'm gonna have to say goodbye to my buffalo soldier. Now comes the hour of parting. I hear the sad farewell. My gallant love must leave me and break my heart's sweet spell. How can I live without you, my love, my only joy? I hear the drum, the hour has come. Goodbye, my soldier boy.
Kihani Wash Day. Good morning, Chungshi. I want to thank you for letting me come stay here at your house. You know, ever since your father died of that blanket disease, I'm so lonely living out there on my homestead by myself. And you know, your father, he was so excited about that ghost dance, the spirit dance. He really hoped that the buffalo would come back and the Washichus would leave. And he wanted me to make him a ribbon shirt, a ghost shirt. And so I was working on it, but before I could finish, he died. He died of that blanket disease. And you know, I was thinking about going to stay at Lala's place, and I did go over there, but I didn't like it because, you know, he was letting everybody come and stay on his land. We even had relatives from grandmother's land come. Oh, by the way, they did give us some wasna made out of buffalo meat. So good. And they're all excited about doing the spirit dance. Lala said he's not sure about it, but if it gives our people hope, then why not dance? And I was there the other day when the Indian agent McLaughlin came out he had the tribal police with him, and he told Lala, he says, make these people stop that dance and make them go where they come from, go back to where they come from. And Lala said, these are grown men, and it's my land, and if they want to do that dance, they can. And then McLaughlin left, he was upset. But really, why I came to see you, come to stay with you, Chungshi, was because Lala told me he had another vision. And you know how his visions are? Some of them are really scary. He told me that he had this vision. he saw us all lying dead, killed by bullets, dead in the snow. And that scared me. That's why I came over here, because I hope his vision don't come true. And thank you for letting me stay here. Who's that coming? There's somebody coming on horseback. Oh, that's the Yapaha. I wonder what he has to say. The town crier? Let me go out and see what he has to say. And I'll be right back, Junshi. It's really cold outside. Junshi, I just came in, and the Yapaha told me that the tribal police and Agent McLaughlin came out there and they shot and killed Lala. Why did he do that? He was only trying to help us live. I can't believe it. My husband and now my father.
Stephen, have you noticed how all the news reporters refer to the ghost dance as a warlike ceremony? But it says here that before he was fired, Pine Ridge agent D.H. Gallagher was sure that the ghost dance was harmless and would soon die out. He was very worried when they cut the Indians' monthly beef issue from 470,000 pounds to 205,000. And he said that could cause some problems. You know, he was right about that. It has gotten so bad that even Lucy has lost her faith. Yesterday after church, Bishop Hare found her Bible and her prayer book on the rector's table. And this morning her cousin, Carmela, I never can quite get her name right. But anyway, Lucy told me that it means butterfly. Anyway, Miss Butterfly came by and said that Lucy has left to go join her parents and the other ghost dancers over on the stronghold. I do hope she'll be all right. No, I don't. Well, yes, I do remember the Buffalo Soldier Cicero. He got married. Oh, how nice. And his wife, Maddie Elmira, wants to come from Kansas and get a job. You know, it sure wouldn't hurt to ask. Oh, no. It says here that 200 Indians have jumped the reservation and they're camped on Battle Creek. And that they're running off the white rancher's stock and committing numerous other crimes. It says that one cowboy was confronted by 20 Winchester armed Indians and forced to give up his saddle horse. No. It doesn't say who it was. Oh dear. It goes on. It says that Charles L. Hyde from Pierre wrote a letter to the Secretary of Interior, John W. Noble, and said that he had reliable information from a young Pine Ridge half-breed attending government school in Pierre that the Sioux are secretly planning an outbreak. Oh, Stephen, do you really think that the Sioux are going to go to war again? Oh, I hope not either, but, you know, I guess a body couldn't really blame them. After all, they have been dealt a great injustice. Did you know that Sitting Bull was actually killed by 2 of his own people, Bullhead and Red Tomahawk? Oh, Stephen, I love this land, but I am so frightened. Oh, I would not exchange my old home on the range, where the deer and the antelope play, or seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. I wonder what Dr. Brewster Higley would have to say now.
Miss Sadie, it is so cold in here. I'll throw another log on the fire. Oh,
Why don't you make it 2? It is bitterly cold in here.
yes, ma'am, I will. Yes, ma'am.
And what do I smell? Are you making bread again?
the biscuits you know you like.
Oh, that's so good.
And I churned some butter this morning.
Oh, that's good. And do we still have some homemade plum jam from last summer or fall?
Yes, I did. I canned it myself.
Oh, you are such a peach.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh, I got another letter.
Oh, I hope it's good news.
I don't know. Dear Maddie Elmira, no time to write. Just wanted to wish you a Merry Christmas. The 9th is going on patrol. Then after that, we are on our way to Wounded Knee. It is dreadfully cold. The mercury hovers below 0, but the blowing wind chills us to the bone. Private Charlie Creek say you ate out in the cold like a dog, not in a tent, because the Indians gonna sneak up on you. It was so cold, the spit freeze when it leave your mouth. How are things with Miss Sadie and her brood? Give my regards to Mr. and Mrs. Babcock, and thanks for letting you work in the roadhouse. Lovingly, Cicero. Such a hasty letter. I hope all will be well. Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright.
The last couple weeks have been so difficult. We left our homeland and we ran to hide from the soldiers and the policemen. And we went to Cheyenne River and met with Lala Spotted Elk. Lala was sick, but he said that he was going to Wounded Knee and we could go with him and we would find safety there. And I'm so sad. I'm so sad that Lala's gone, my husband's gone, and now Lala Spotted Elk is sick. And we were walking and going to Wounded Knee, and we got to the Badlands, and all of a sudden we were surrounded by soldiers. And some people say they're the same soldiers from the Battle of Greasy Grass. And they walked among us asking us if we were City Bulls people. Of course, nobody spoke because we wanted to live. And they followed us all the way down to Wounded Knee. And when we set up camp, they came around and took all of our weapons. And I was just thinking, how are we gonna hunt now? So I took a walk around to see if I can find any kind of plants or herbs to cook, when I noticed that there was a wagon being pulled into the soldiers' camp. So I walked closer, and I seen this wagon was full of crates of chicken, all skinned and ready to cook. And I was just thinking about how the smell of cooking chicken was only gonna increase our hunger, when I noticed that the soldiers that were unloading the chickens were taking bottles of firewater out of the bodies of the chicken. I hate firewater. Lala was always against it. I came back to the camp and I told Chung Shi, we gotta leave, those soldiers are drinking, they're gonna get drunk. And we decided to leave in the morning. But it was too late. We heard shots. Bang, bang! We started running. The soldiers killed my Chung Shi daughter, they killed my Takoja. They killed her husband. Bang, they shot me in the leg. I ran and I felt like I was dead. And I could hear the soldiers going around and I acted like I was dead. And I don't know how long I lay there until this man came and he said, I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm gonna take you in and get your leg looked at. And I looked up and it was a buffalo soldier. And he said his name was Cicero and he was so nice. And he took me to the hospital and they repaired my leg and they gave me something to eat. But I was just thinking how pitiful I am now that I have no family. Everybody I love is gone.
Oh no, Maddie, where are you? Maddie, have you seen this paper yet?
No, ma'am.
It says that they're dead, they're all dead.
Who's dead?
Well, over 300 men, women, and children, they're dead. They're dead at Wounded Knee. They were killed at Wounded Knee.
Lord have mercy.
in what it calls a battle. But if what it says here is true, it was a massacre. Just a cold-blooded massacre. Oh, Maddie, it says that the bodies of dead women and children were found as far as 3 miles away from the smoldering shambles of the Sioux campground. And that the soldiers stripped the Indian corpses of their shirts and dresses to keep as souvenirs. And they left those bodies lying dead in the snow. Naked in the snow. Oh, one Indian was even scalped. Oh, Maddie, how could they do this? Oh, here is a quote from our righteous Colonel Forsyth. He says, "Now we have avenged Custer's death." But Philip Wells also made a statement. And he said that the 7th started the fireworks that day at the Little Bighorn, and that they had every opportunity to fight for their lives. But these poor Indians never had a chance. Oh, dear God in heaven, have mercy on us all. Oh, man.
So all have done their share, you see, whether it was thick or thin, and all help break the ghost dance up and drive the hostiles in. The settlers in that region now breathe with better grace. They only ask and pray to God to make John hold his base. My dearest, I always had my hunches, but today I found it true. The only reason we were going to Wounded Knee is so the 7th Cavalry could have revenge for the Little Bighorn. We was on patrol looking for Bigfoot's band when Major Henry learned about the fight he had us provide support to. We rode over 50 miles in the bitter cold and took care of General Forsyth's mess. We arose about mid-afternoon, preventing the skirmish from becoming more serious. At the end, only one officer and one private lost their lives. We could not tell how many Indians there had been. Major Henry gave us all a whistle engraved with his mark, thanking us, his troops, for our superior work. 4 troops of the 9th Cavalry finally left Pine Ridge Agency on March 24th. Our poet and songwriter, Sergeant William Prather, wrote this poem about the agency. The rest have gone home, and to meet the blizzard's wintry blast, the 9th, the willing 9th, is camped here till the last. We were the first to come, we'll be the last to leave. Why are we compelled to stay? Why this reward receive? In warm barracks, our recent comrades take their ease while we poor devils in the Sioux are left to freeze and cuss our luck and wait till someone pulls the string and starts short bull with another ghost dance in the spring. We was as ready to leave as the Indians was for us to go. The Indians complained that some colored troops came to their camp, so they are objecting to our color and prefer the whites. This shows what civilization is doing. The battle was so sorrowful. I saw the Gagubu bred woman, Kamimula, Sitting Bull's daughter, lying on the ground. She stirred, and I put my hand on her shoulder to calm her. I assured her I offered her no harm. It was over. She looked so sad. Most of her family had died. I picked her up and carried her to the Episcopal Church, where she received medical care. At long last, with this furlough, we'll be able to be together. I'll be in Rapid City, God willing, on April 5th. I remain faithfully and lovingly, Cicero. This is such a bittersweet time. At long last, my love and I could be together. But at what cost?
So, I'm Jolene Golden Center, and I grew up on Pine Ridge Reservation, and right now, we're going to honor the Fort Erection, and I welcome you to stand up. And we're also going to sing a pipe song and send a prayer of healing out to everybody. I honor the West. I honor the South. I honor the East. I honor the North. I honor my sister, Sadie.
Hello, my name's Lillian Witt, and I play the part of Sadie Advocat. My family came to this country hoping to improve and enrich their lives, and in doing so, they've harmed yours. And for this, I'm sorry.
Midako Yasin.
We are all related.
I honor my sister, Maddie.
Buffalo soldiers proud and strong. Buffalo soldiers, they meant no harm. Buffalo soldiers, now come in peace. Buffalo soldiers, ask your release. My name is Joyce Jefferson. I play the part of Maddie Elmira Richardson McCarty.
Midako Yasin.
We are all related. People look at me. People look at me. The pipe is sacred. The people shall live.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ladies, for sharing with us. Of course, we want to thank the South Dakota Humanities Council that made this possible. Before we conclude, we would like to have a few discussion questions. Since we have these three ladies up here, do any of you have anything you would like to ask them?
I was here for the last one you did here, and it is in my memory that you also spoke about how the Buffalo soldiers didn't have proper uniforms. Was that from that, or was that a different memory?
No, that's a pretty spot-on memory. The Buffalo soldiers were always the last, so they got the worst. And they also had the lowest, they had the highest commitment and the lowest, what do you do when you run away? Yes, desertion. Yes, so they were the most loyal, and they got the worst of what the Army, the United States had to offer them.
Interesting. Anybody else have something they would like to ask?
Tell us about the gourd.
Oh, the gourd?
Yeah.
The gourd, is just a squash or, whatever that they were growing, and they would make musical instruments out of it. And, and they would put nuts on the outside and a lovely tune. And this was African descent.
I'd like to know what inspired the three of you to come together and do this performance. What led to this?
Well, I crashed the Oscar Michaud Film Festival, and I can't remember what year it was. It might have been the second or third. I missed the first year. And Sally Roche Wagner, they invited Sally Roche Wagner to come and speak, and she and I, do you all know who Sally Roche Wagner is? She is a descendant of L. Frank Baum. Do you know who Oscar Michaud is?
Yes.
There are some who know who Oscar Michaud is. He was a black writer, novelist, and filmmaker. And he made his first film in Gregory, where he had, or near Gregory, where he had homesteaded. In the wintertime, he would walk from in the wintertime, he would write, and then in the spring, he would walk from house to house, all the way down to, Iowa, selling his books door to door. So they wanted to, in Gregory, honor him by having a film and book festival. So I went there without an invitation and performed with Sally Roche Wagner, and she said, "Oh, we should have more voices, a real Lilith Fair." And I did not know what a Lilith Fair was, but I was game for having more voices. So Sally Roche Wagner and I invited Joyzelle Godfrey, who was a Native American woman, and she did the part that Jerry is doing now. And we were so well liked that that someone invited us to their home so that they could have us there. Well, Sally Roche Wagner lived in New York, and she wasn't available, so the person who gave me the idea, Dr. Lila Pindra, said that she would fill in for Dr. Roche Wagner. She's a doctor too, but she wasn't going to recite her lines. She was going to read, and she wasn't, she was just going to do it for this one particular time. And it just seemed to be so well liked through the South Dakota Humanities Council that it became similar to what you see here today. So thank you. Her idea was all three cultures were there, and we could all tell stories about what had happened there.
It certainly conjured up a lot of emotions with me.
Oh. The first time I seen it was, at the Journey Museum when that other Indian lady was playing. And my friend asked me to go, and I said, "Oh, there's too many white people." But I went anyway. And it was such a good play, and at the end, this older white lady got up and she goes, "I didn't know it was like that for the Indians." And to me, it was very healing words, because I always think every white person hated me. So it was very healing words, and I said, "Oh my God, this is a great play." And then I grew up on a reservation, I grew up in boarding school, didn't know much about my own history. And so it was really good to research and write my own play parts and research like Wounded Knee, because I really didn't know. And I had a friend that was Jamaican that came down to the res with me, and this preacher was there, and he goes, "It was the Buffalo Soldiers that killed all the Indians." Oh, really? But it wasn't true, you know. So I feel like this play is good because it gives out the true information, because everything that we research is based on real events. Like, for example, the chicken and the cubby, the little crates, that was written by the wife of the husband who owned the liquor store in Hot Springs. And that soldiers wanted to drink, and Red Cloud didn't want them drinking on the res, so they snuck them in chickens, and they were drunk when they killed all the Indians. Do you have a question?
When will you be doing this again?
We don't have any engagements. We have some feelers out there. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I mean, I was just like my family to see it.
Well, we're funded by South Dakota Humanities, so if you give them a fee, and as long as you open it to the public, we'll come, because they'll pay us a fee to come.
Do you do it with schools too?
Yes, we do it with schools, as
Whoever
long as they're older.
invites us.
Do you do it on the reservation?
Yes, we do it to on the reservation too. We did at Wolf Creek School, and then afterwards we asked, their Indian teachers any questions, and nobody spoke. And we go, "Oh my God, they must have hate us." And then later on, I was at the casino exercising my arm. And then these teachers, they came up to me and they go, "Oh my God, that play was so healing," and it made, and so it made me feel good, that even though they didn't say nothing, they really still liked the play.
And you said it was very emotional.
It is emotional.
So perhaps that was the issue. They had no words at the time, only emotions, and they needed time to process it before they could let us know.
And they said they hated her at first.
Oh, I did too at the beginning.
Yeah.
I had a lot of but you turned over.
I
I know, I feel it, I can see it.
And there was a strong part to play.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to apologize for my voice. I had strep throat a couple weeks ago, and although I'm on medicine and the doctor says I'm well, my throat still is suffering.
You did a good job.
Good job. Yes, sir.
It was very emotional. We're not supposed to.
I have something I'd just like, some information I'd like to share. Lucy Lone Eagle was a real person. And she, and she was going to the church, the Episcopal church. She was from Standing Rock, not Plain Ridge, but when they started doing the ghost dances, and she started to make her ghost dance shirt, and at that point her mother thought she would be, I think, just safer, staying because of her whatever, going to the church and being associated with those, for whatever reason. It didn't really say, but she was a real person, and then when it did get so bad, she did leave her Bible and her prayer book on the rector's table, and the bishop's name was Bishop Hare, and he found him there one Sunday after church, and she was just gone. Went to join the others. So that part is a real person, and real, and sometimes I can think just how emotional that must have been for her. And I really love doing this part because I believe that it's important that we all remember history so it doesn't repeat itself. The real history, yes.
I know there's kind of a memorial tribute at the Oglala College.
Oh, yes.
Kyle?
Yes, the Heritage Center. I know what it is, yeah.
Right, but is there anything at Wounded Knee right now? I know there was
They do have something there, but it's not very well organized. And, they keep fighting at when they have, cause I used to work with tourism there. And like the people that are, that descended from Wounded Knee, and then the people that live around, they fight all the time, so it's hard to get anything going on, we don't want no bathrooms or, something here for the tourists. The tourists wanna come, and they're still fighting about it, after all these years, but maybe something will happen,
Yeah, I wondered if because I remember seeing in the paper that they were talking about it, and that there was discussion back and forth, and, so I wondered if anything had ever gotten done.
Well, my dad's grandfather was a scout for the Buffalo Soldiers. And, a lot of, her character lived in Nicodemus, which is an underground town in Kansas. I never knew about that, and that was really interesting. I always thought about
Underground Railroad.
Oh,
but I thought the whole town was underground too.
Well, they did live in, what do you call those things?
It was under the ground.
No, that's not what they call it.
Tugga.
Dugout, yeah.
Dugouts, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and it's still there like a tourist thing, you can go there and see it.
We called him a cellar at my house.
I always thought that was really interesting.
My grandpa and grandma lived down there. They were children when this happened.
Where?
Pine Ridge.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And one was from Porcupine and the other one was from Wounded Knee.
Wow.
And I wondered what they must have felt like when they heard the guns and stuff. And
Oh, I know.
nobody ever told me the stories. I have gathered and gathered books and read and read and read. And it's just a heartbreaker.
In my research, I read in the book Voices of Wounded Knee, because my grandfather was Chief Lip Pute, and he tried to settle in Sturgis, right across from Fort Meade. That's where they wanted to camp, but they were the last Indians forced on the reservation. And so they settled in Wombly. You ever heard of Wombly? So then, in the Voices of Wounded Knee, they said that Pute Lip was in Pine Ridge trying to get a school built on Wombly, so he was there to speak to Agent Royer, who was politically appointed at Pine Ridge, and he was the one who really was scared of the ghost dance, because he really believed it was gonna come true. That's why he got all these soldiers to come. They used to call him white man afraid of his Indians. But anyway, I said that to my dad, and he said, I always wondered why, because my mom's mother, Kate, said they were camped in the Episcopal Church, and she was there when they buried the bodies in. And my dad said, I always wondered why she said that when they lived way over in Wombly. And so that's something, that's interesting to hear that, because she always said that she was there. But, the way the protocol is with the Indian culture is my dad never talked to my mom's mother or sisters. But if they wanted her to do anything, they would tell my mother. And so he overheard her saying that. And so when I told him about the book and Voice of Wounded Knee, he goes, no wonder she said that, you know. Cause eventually they did get a school built there, and my grandmother never went to boarding school, but my mother did. And, because he wanted to keep her from boarding school, you know. She did.
I think the Dawes Act was the worst piece of legislation ever made by white people, and it affected Indian people. They took 140,000 acres of land in western South Dakota, eastern Montana, western North Dakota, and then Wyoming, and just automatically gave it away.
And you know, like, the land Wounded Knee is owned by a German guy who used to own the trading post. And they used to get Indians drunk and have them sell their land. But they stopped that now. The tribe has, you know, stopped. You can't sell your land or anything unless you go to the tribe. And you know, they have more control now, but he wants $1 million for it, you know. Oh, but I heard that, didn't that governor say something?
No, that was Dusty.
Oh,
Dusty Johnson.
Said that he was gonna make the land, historical site. And, you know, cause that guy's gone now, but his, you know, the descendants want $1 million. And when I was working for the tribe, Johnny Depp came and he said he was gonna buy it, but he didn't buy it for the Indians.
The people that were killed down there were from my mother's reservation, from
They were
Shannon
from
River.
Standing Rock
And
and,
they were running after they heard that, Sitting Bull was killed.
yeah,
There was a runner that came through and they were already on horses and moving to
yeah,
camp.
that's the part I
And they
played.
ended up
Yeah.
coming down and going across, in the middle of winter,
Yeah, that's why, cause they were with Bigfoot. Bigfoot's real name was Spotted Elk,
Yeah.
you know, and then when I'm sitting here like trying to remember for the next part, I go Spotted Tail, cause Spotted Tail was for Rosebud. So when I start to talk, I get all mixed up. But, yeah, cause I went up to, Standing Rock and all those places, and they did this movie called They Died with Their Boots On, and a lot of the Indians from that tribe went down and made that movie. So, and the anniversary of when Sitting Bull died, they watched that movie. Isn't that crazy? It's like a, ritual for them, you know.
Well, the children, what I probably taught in school was never anything like this, never the truth.
Right,
It was never the truth, and I remember when that hit me, I was 40 years old.
yeah, me
And I
too.
was going to school in New Mexico, and I had to sit and cry. I couldn't go back to school after I got out of my history class, because that was the truth. They used congressional records and what they were trying to annihilate us and doing all kinds of things, and I couldn't believe it. You know, because, we just think Columbus was wonderful. Well, down there, they were cutting the hands off the people who
So, yeah.
moved in.
Yes, I learned that in my
Well, when I was in
history
boarding
classes.
school, I didn't know, and my dad used to encourage us to leave the reservation. And so when I got joined the army and then I had 4 daughters, I told my daughters, I think I'm the Indian from when we met the Mayflower.
When you were.
We met the Mayflower.
Oh,
And I had my
yeah.
half a dress on, and I had my pumpkin pie and,
yes,
you know,
yes.
but cause I really didn't know about, because they discouraged us to speak
Yeah.
Lakota or
They
anything,
didn't
you know.
want us- Oh, no, you couldn't speak.
Yeah, so now, now I know my own history, you know. I didn't even know that my mom's parents were shot by the soldiers in the Black Hills, cause he was escaping the hanging from Mankato. And so he was like 3 years old when he went to boarding school, he was an orphan. And when I heard about that, when I was like 40, I just like cried for days, cause my grandson was that old, and I love my grandson so much. I was like, oh my God, that could be him, you know, a little boy all alone, you know, his parents are dead, you know. That was so traumatic.
Where'd you go to boarding school?
I went to BIA boarding school in Pine Ridge, and then I ran away from there, then I went to Holy Rosary, I ran away from there, then they sent me to Marty Indian School, I ran away from there. And then I went to Flandre Indian School my freshman year, and I ran away from there, and then I just didn't go back to school, and I got a job on Pine Ridge at Shangri's Market, and then when I turned 18, I joined Army. And then my dad said, don't ever come back here, because people will look at you like a drunken Indian, even if you don't drink. And I go, I'll never come back, but then when I got married and started having kids, I go, I want my kids to meet my mom and dad. This is my daughter over there, she was born in Panama.
She's so beautiful.
Born in 1985 in Panama. Rapid City. But good thing my kids got to meet my parents and bonded with them. And,
Now they're gone. Okay, I better stop talking.
Yeah.
In your program, you have Beam. This was a part of our video, Reflections at Wounded Knee. And Malcolm Chapman read this from Cass. We in the Developed World, by Isabella Wilkerson. We in the developed world are like homeowners who inherited a house on a piece of land that is beautiful on the outside, but whose soil is unstable loam and rock, heaving and contracting over generations. Cracks patched, but the deeper ruptures waved away for decades, centuries even. Many people may rightly say, I had nothing to do with how it all started. I have nothing to do with the sins of the past. My ancestors never attacked indigenous people, never owned slaves. And yes, not one of us here when this house was built. Not one of us were here when this house was built. Our immediate ancestors may have had nothing to do with it, but here we are. The current occupants of a property with stressed cracks and bowed walls and fissures built into the foundation. We are the heirs to whatever is wrong or right with it. We did not erect the uneven pillars or joists, but they are ours to deal with now. And any further deterioration, in fact, is ours. And I watched Malcolm talk after he read that. And I can't say that I am there yet, but he talked about how he beams. And he was saying that this is the way that we can challenge one another to let go of our past, to make our present and our future better. He said that we can create a space in an environment where all people feel safe and show up and be authentic and share our stories. That's the start of what we can do going forward. Then have conversations where we listen to people without judgment. Thank you so much for sharing your stories. And I love the discussion between you and Jerry. They were so similar. We listen to people with curiosity, that we listen to people to learn. And he spoke of his intentions and truth. He said that this acronym, BEAM, stands for Bridging Cultures. E stands for educating ourselves and others. A is for advocacy, and M is modeling behavior you'd like others to display. And he says he constantly challenges himself on a day-to-day basis to see if he does all of these things, to build bridges where others can accept him and he accepts them. He wants to educate himself and learn more. And how does he educate others? He says that he always wants to advocate when he knows something is wrong. And he asks himself if he stands up and says something about it when he knows that it's wrong, and how does he advocate for the things that are right? And he says now he shows up and models respectful and loving behavior that he wants all of us to exhibit. So we can create an environment and then beam.
Thank you so much to all three of you. Before you go, please take a moment. I will be handing out audience evaluations that you can fill out for these ladies. This goes back to the South Dakota Humanities Council. So one more time, let's give these ladies a round of applause. Thank you so much for coming here today. This was a real treat. Thank you. Thank you.